All right, guys, I'm back with another week of just videos discussing mobility, flexibility, recovering from this week's workouts. Any week, I feel like we can have super tight hips, regardless of what the workouts are, and that's kind of what I want to dial in and focus on and talk about today. Now, I know the last 2 weeks we talked a lot about rolling and how beneficial that can be for you. Now, it's very important to say that that isn't the end-all, be-all. That's not going to fix every problem that we have. That's not going to be necessarily the best recovery tool for where we're tight. A lot of times it might come down to just good, smart stretching based on what we're feeling, and then strengthening the muscles around those affected areas, especially when we're talking about the hips, right? There's so many muscles that are interconnected to this area that if one area is tight and another one isn't, or we're weaker or stronger in that any particular area of our body in regards to our hips, we could be feeling that pushing and pulling. So we need to strengthen those weakened areas or those not as strong areas to make sure that's happening. And that can be performed in various different ways, right? We can do plank exercises, especially in regards to the hips. They're going to do a lot to benefit the entire encompassing area of the hip. But we'll get a little bit more into that later. What I do want to dial in and talk about a little bit more is stretching, right? There's a lot of things that we can do in regards to the hips that are going to help us out a lot here. But the first one, we're going to be formed on the floor. And what we're going to do to start is we're going to use kind of degrees as our references here. So I'm going to use this leg as my reference, right? If this is my center line, then I want this leg at about a 30-degree angle. So 10, 20, 30 to start. And I'm going to start kind of just standing up tall, or sitting up tall, if you will. My opposite leg is going to be extended. Now, the further out we go with this, the more stretch that you'll feel. So I would tell you to be, just start out kind of gingerly and figure out what's going to work best for us here. Now, once we're in these two positions, 30-degree here, leg extended out. From here, what I want to do is start to create flexion in my hip, and I'm going to do that by leaning back, but keeping a good upright torso position, right? I don't want to start to round my back too much in this position. So now I'm starting to, and what I would want you to do here is not start with that stretch, but actually start to kind of oscillate back and forth a little bit, slowly and steadily, just kind of opening up that hip. I want you to feel this on the opposite leg in what we call your adductors right here, or that groin area. I would want you to do about 10 of these, and this is, again, just kind of loosening up for the stretch at hand. Once we've done those 10, then we can start to really drop into a deep flexed hip position and hang out there for 30 seconds. I'd want you to do this multiple times. Obviously, switch to your next leg after this. Do 30 seconds. Don't forget about that oscillations. Do about 10 of those, and then go into that stretch per leg. Do that at least 2 times, more if you still feel like there's a lot of benefit to be had there. Now, that's the first stretch that we'll do from the floor. The next ones, we're gonna have 2. They're gonna be performed on the wall. And we're gonna work internally and externally, right? I wanna make sure that we create those 2 good positions, because yes, we wanna open up that hip in a squat, but in a lot of instances, we're tight on these outside muscles of our legs too, so we need to also stretch that up. I'll show you that first one on the wall where we're talking about internal rotation. So I'm gonna bring my butt as close to the wall as I can. And then from here, what I'm gonna do is close to my squat stance, I'm gonna start to, with a relatively planted foot, we can get that off the wall a little bit, start to create that internal rotation. And where I'm feeling this right now is along my IT band into the outside of my hip. And again, we're gonna start to create a position where I'm gonna be moving in and out of this a couple times. And again, I would go with just a strong number. Let's stick with 10 here. Get that muscle kind of firing, ready to go for that stretch. Once you're ready for this and you have the mobility for it, what I would try to do, either we can use our hand and start to create a little bit more pressure with, again, trying to keep our foot planted on that wall. And then from there, we can take our opposite leg and kind of similar to that figure 4 that we've done in that first week of stretching, bring that foot down onto that knee, and it's just gonna create a little bit more torque on our leg, and we can get that good stretch. Again, 30 seconds here. Switch sides, do the same thing. We're doing about 10 of these. That's that first stretch on the wall that you can do. The next one is super easy. Now, what we're gonna do is now create that externally rotated position, right? So we're gonna get the butt close. The further down we get our feet and the wider we go, the more of a stretch that we're gonna feel. I'm gonna use my arms to, again, as a position or as leverage to open up my hip. And again, try to keep those feet planted, but also my hips planted. I don't want them to come too far off of the ground. I want to keep that on the floor. open up my hips. Right, 30 seconds here. I would relax. What we can do is, if I'm not that close to the wall right now, I can get a little bit closer. And I can do the same thing again. Maybe you start a little bit further away to get yourself going with this. Get closer as you go. Again, then I can really open up those hips, hang out here for 30 seconds. And what this is gonna do for you is, yes, it's gonna help in the recovery of the workouts that we've done throughout the week, but it's also gonna help in regards to getting you ready for squatting throughout the week, right? So we're elongating these muscles and really creating a better position for us to squat through. So it's kind of twofold, right? I want to help with the stretching, getting better mobility and flexibility, but also help with the workouts throughout the week and with that recovery process. So I hope this helps. That's another week out of the way, guys. I'll see you next week for our mobility and recovery video. Hope you guys have a good one.